not for long. Hey guys, welcome to another week. Chris and I just spent a week in Nashville at a cyber conference, and we figured we would dump some of that back out, and also talk about some of the travel things. If you follow me on social media, you will know that I don't fly well. Well, I fly just fine. Planes typically don't fly with me on them, and there's people that show up at these events with me, and they reach out ahead of time and say, "What flight are you on, Bob?" Because I don't want to be there.
I don't know if it's you or just Newark. I think it might just be your airport.
I don't know. It happens mostly when I'm leaving out of Nashville, but I've seen it with Dallas. We've gotten grounded in Dallas from tornadoes that were coming through.
Yeah, Detroit's pretty good. Like I'm not usually delayed, but it's pretty decent.
So great to see you last week, Chris, in Nashville. Actually, seems like last week if the travel, but it's this week.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we would have shot down there, but there wasn't really a good place to do it. It was kind of a smaller venue than normal, so this is why we're each back at home shooting this.
No, it's all good. Anyway, a lot of good content this week, guys, and I wanted to just talk to Chris about some of the stuff that we saw with the. There was an active dude, a current FBI agent that was there talking about some of the cyber stuff that's going on. We also had the opportunity to talk to spend some real time with Chris Voss, a hostage negotiator, which he's got very enlightening insight on many things.
It's always a good time to hear him talk. He's always good.
Absolutely. So, so some of the big takeaways from listening to the special agent that was down there specifically around cyber was the FBI actually does have the ability in some cases to help people recover money, but it's got to be quick. Chris, and we typically hear that once it's wired, it's gone, but we heard a little different story this week.
Yeah, he was talking about if it's domestic, well, regardless of whether it's domestic or international, you have basically 72 hours, and the quicker you can do it, the further it gets closer to 72 hours, the more chances can be gone. But he said within 72 hours, they have about a 70% chance of getting the money back, or at least most of it back. If it's international, it depends on where it's sent. Because of the way that Swift works, they might delay it a little bit, so they might be able to push it a little bit. But yeah, you have 3 days max. Like that's your.
But, and these were for transfers that were in the banking system, not Bitcoin.
Yeah. Crypto, you're screwed. That's what he basically said that. He was like, yeah, if it's crypto, bye, it's gone later. Well, the other thing that was interesting about him too was he was talking about like pre-2020, so pre-pandemic and post-pandemic, and just the change that they've seen at the FBI in cybersecurity. And because the threshold, like we always wonder about the threshold, right? I mean, you and I have had this conversation about how much does it have to be? How much of a loss does it have to be for the FBI will get involved? And he said before 2020, it was like, $10,000, $20,000 was nothing to have the FBI involved. But man, did he blow those numbers out? Now, Absolutely. Like he said Nashville was $1 million minimum. So if your loss in Nashville isn't more than $1 million, they're probably not helping you. But New York and LA.
But they want to know about it.
Yeah. Well, they want to know about it because it could be affecting more than just you. But New York and LA was insane. It was $100 million. So basically, if you're in New York or LA, you should go file an IC3 claim on the website for internet crimes. But like, are they going to help you in incident response? Nah, they're not going to get to it unless it's a huge loss. And it's just because of the sheer volume of cases they have coming in, they have to pick and choose.
Sure.
So, I know here in Michigan, the state police is really involved with the FBI. So the biggest one to have in your incident response plan is to really talk to your state police first. And if it goes outside the jurisdiction of Michigan, they will share it with the FBI as well.
I know it didn't come from the FBI speaker, but one of the speakers from the event this week actually mentioned that he's seen that that some insurance policies and insurance companies now want to see the FBI notification as part of your incident response plan.
Yep.
Which I thought was pretty interesting, but they want to.
I mean, I haven't seen it, but I'm assuming those are insurance policies for hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue in a company, or billions of dollars. Like those are probably enterprises at that point.
Yep.
Because I've seen ones for companies up to about 300 million, and they've never had that requirement. But maybe it's just something that's coming out now.
So let's go back for a minute. And, some people say, well, if I get hit, the FBI is going to help me out. Yes. And what we've just seen is, it's got to be a major loss. But in general, talking deeper with the FBI agent is they're going to try and triage what happened. They might try and triage what happened. They're not going to tell you how to stop it in the future by recommending specific products.
No, they stay as neutral and apolitical as possible. They are not going to tell you who to use, what products to use, or anything. They're there to collect information to try to share it with to share it with international organizations to try to track some of these criminals down. But they're not there to actually do the incident response. They're not there to get your insurance company to pay you if you have cyber insurance. They're there pretty much just to try to help you get money back if it's a wire fraud situation and collect information so they can correlate this data and really try to take down some of these crime, these cyber crime games. And if it's nation state, the FBI is not going to be involved in that anyway. Like they'll collect the information then forward it on to whoever they need to. But
I was at an event where the FBI came knocking at somebody's door to tell him that his company was actively being breached and we had their data already. So
at least they knocked.
They actually knocked.
Well, I mean, they weren't coming after him. That's why they knocked. Yeah, it's just one of those things where we see it all the time anyway. We see the increase in like attacks on our customer base and stuff like that. But when you really sit down and you talk to these FBI agents, it doesn't really matter what jurisdiction it is. They all tell the same story. They all talk about how the number of attacks have exploded. And unfortunately for the small guys, for the small businesses out there, and even medium-sized businesses, unless your loss is big enough, like in a major metropolitan area, the chances of you getting helped is probably pretty low. And the more rural you get, the harder it's going to be to get an FBI agent anyway because of where they're located.
Yep.
So, yeah, you kind of got to understand that you need to report it. You should report it just because it helps other companies and other people. But that should not be your go-to. That should not be your get out of jail free card on this one.
No, there's no get out of jail free card with them.
No. So,
and I didn't write the number down, but I know he rattled off a number about business email compromise as the number one entry point into businesses. And his the big takeaway that he had was train your users to read email. I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah, the crime report that they put out every year, the FBI, BECs or business email compromise is always like pretty much number one for like the amount of attacks that they see. Now, the BEC itself isn't the monetary loss. It's what they do after they get in that usually causes that loss. So like if they impersonate like a CEO or CFO and they end up getting wire transfer or whatever, maybe they trick one of your customers into transferring money to the wrong place, stuff like that. That's where the real money, or they hit you with ransomware.
Yep.
Or some level of attack like that. But
now the ransomware attacks are more than just ransoming your data, encrypting your data. They're saying, okay, pay us or we're going to release your data.
Yeah, the future looks like it's not even going to be encryption. It's just going to be pure deletion. If you start following a lot of stuff that's happening, it looks more and more like the future is deletion. But right now, a lot of the threat acting groups that I've seen, their encryption algorithms they're using are just getting faster. So instead of taking 8, 10, 24 hours to encrypt somebody, they might be able to encrypt your entire company in a couple hours.
So it's long going to have to restore all that data.
Yeah, well, yeah. So it really just depends on how much data you have and how long they have and whatnot. But yeah, the quicker they can encrypt it, the quicker the attack can be done, and the harder it is to respond to it. So, but I got another fun one.
Good.
We can go with this. So we also watched a guy talk about mergers and acquisitions. Now it was in our space, but I deal with mergers and acquisitions. I've dealt with it a few times just with some of my customers, and sometimes you get enlightened on the company or the investment group that bought that company, and you learn a lot about them when they come in and they start making demands about certain things. and sometimes they ask you to do things that are just going to open them up to an attack, let's say. And
Okay.
you push back on them and they get mad at you, and it's like, well, you just invested this much money into this company. We're trying to make sure that you're not losing your investment day one because you're asking us to do something that's going to open you up to a security incident. And yeah, so that's a fun. This is like the fourth one we've been through in the last like couple of years, and you know, we'll see how it goes if they're going to stay a customer or not. But yeah, they're asking us to do certain things that just are kind of sketchy. So from a security standpoint, so it just kind of enlightens like everything we just talked about, how uninformed some people still are. Like they come in, they invest their money, and then they're not doing the things they need to protect it. And that's ultimately what we're trying to do, is help you guys not lose money. I mean, we're trying to protect your profits. That's ultimately protect your revenue, protect your profits. That's really what we're trying to do. It sounds weird.
It all comes down to the money and
Yeah.
of people helping people protect their money, because every ransom attack, every network attack is really going after trying to find the money.
Well,
And
even if they don't steal your money, it costs you money regardless.
absolutely.
Because if you have to do instant response, if you have to do instant response, you're probably going to spend anywhere between $35,000 and $100,000.
Yeah.
Even at a small scale.
We had a $35,000 incident response case just for an email, a $10,000 a business email compromise that was really a $10,000 misdirected wire transfer. It was $35,000 that the insurance company funded for investigation, so we'd know exactly what happened.
Yeah, and then the one guy in our group had just a simple retail shop hit, and their incident response is like $43,000 for like a small retail shop.
Yep.
This is real money that people like have to come up, and if you don't have cyber insurance, it's going to cover that part, and you have to recover. Let's say everything's taken down. It can get real expensive real quick, and doing the things up front, being proactive about making sure you have a good framework for your business, a good cybersecurity program in place, can be a business differentiator, but it can just save you from having to go through this hassle. This is devastating.
So, Chris, what could potentially happen if there was a major breach happening and the FBI showed up at your door and said that there's issues in your network? Could they come in and shut that down and do investigation at that point?
Yeah, they can serve you. They can serve you and confiscate your stuff right off the gate. And then what are you going to do?
So now you got to rebuild all their environment from scratch on new hardware.
Yeah, because what if it's an active crime? Let's say somebody let's make this an active crime scene, right? Let's finish off with this. Let's say somebody has hacked your network and you don't know it, and they're using your network to hack somebody else. Active crime scene, right? If they come in and they take over all of your computers because almost all of them are infected and they're launching attacks from your network.
You can put yellow tape around the building.
Yeah, they're going to put yellow tape. They're going to confiscate your machines. You're going to be tied up in an investigation. A typical FBI investigation, when you talk to the guy that we were talking to, he said if they get 2 criminal charges in a year, that's light speed.
Oh,
light speed in a year. So you're talking, some of your stuff might be tied up it might be taken into evidence. It might just be gone. So what plan do you have? And this goes back to the incident response plan. What plan do you have if that happens?
You have the funds to buy new hardware.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have the insurance that's going to help you buy new hardware? Do you have the funds available that's going to help you buy new hardware? Can you afford the loss of downtime for that? And this isn't a scare tactic. This is something that can really happen. There's a lot of threat acting groups out there that will leverage computers inside the United States to launch attacks inside the United States. It's just something that happens. So if you're part of that active investigation, guess what? Your stuff might be confiscated while they're doing that active investigation.
Oh well, I think we've scared people enough for this week, but it was a very enlightening week in Nashville. And our next update is, I think, in August.
Yeah, we're going back in August. Yep.
So I think that's enough for today. Let's go.
But there's hope, guys. Have a plan, execute plan. If plan doesn't work, throw away plan.
Make a new plan.
Make a new plan.
And there's something else that everyone would want to talk about, or if you want some tips on protecting your network and things that you can do today, go to 15ways.metromsp.com, and we will make sure that you get that tip sheet that we've got sitting out there. And
if you want me just to rant on something, just ask me. If you have a story and you want me to rant on it, just fill me in on it. I'll rant on it. Give the world what they want. All right.
Let's wrap up this week, Chris.
All right.
And
see you next week.
Bye, guys.